You know, everybody's talking about Canada's real estate market being in so much trouble.
Is it?
Well, we're going to find out that it's really two provinces that are causing the trouble in the stats.
Oh, you mean that those two provinces are to blame for everything?
One of them, at least, anyway.
We'll see, right?
Right? Hey, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back talking all things real estate. And hey, we're going to dive into some headlines, and let's get right to it. If you're watching and you haven't seen us before, hey, take a minute, subscribe to the video, subscribe to the channel and like the video. That'll help us out. And let's get right to it. Okay, here's the headline. Canadian real estate weakness is mostly just Ontario and Nova Scotia.
Can we just blame Toronto?
Yeah.
It's the center of the universe. We already know. Everybody in Canada knows that, right?
Right.
So let's just blame them.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so how are they to blame?
Let's see. Canadian real estate prices are declining, but agents across the country don't quite agree. The Canadian Real Estate Association data shows that the price of a composite benchmark, for a home fell in May, pushing annual growth lower. The national data paints a picture of markets cooling, but most markets, most markets saw price growth last month outside of two provinces.
Right.
So, price declines in Ontario and Nova Scotia were so large, they pushed the whole index lower.
Despite interprovincial migration to Alberta from BC and Ontario.
Right.
Because we know Calgary, Edmonton, and other places in Alberta are getting a lot of demand.
Yep.
And positive pressure forcing prices going upward. And even in BC, like we've gone through the adjustment already.
Yeah.
We've hit that flat spell for this last, 6 months. And so we're seeing incremental increases.
Yeah.
But Ontario and Nova Scotia, maybe not so much.
Not so much. So,
Okay,
let me read another headline right in here. Canadian real estate prices climbed in 78% of market indexes. So that's 78% across the country of markets that have some kind of benchmark index. Okay. So CREA publishes a 61 benchmark index of national and regional markers. And so 78% of regional measures show prices rising last month. So that jumps to 90% if we exclude Nova Scotia and Ontario.
I think we should pause to just explain a little bit what benchmark prices are. So benchmark pricing, what CREA uses is an aggregate, a measurement of what is the average of averages. This is the easiest way I can explain it.
Yeah.
So it's the average of averages. What's the most average home being sold out there, and what is that price?
Right.
So that would dictate like what year it is, what the size would be, what the components, what it's comprised of, like how many bedrooms, bathrooms, that kind of thing. And typically, what size is it? So, it tries to give you what is the average of averages when it comes to what is mostly being sold out there. And then they stick a price to it. It's not the same as what a median price is, and not the same as what an average price is.
Right.
Okay.
So
Continue.
So they said, so we left off at 78%. Okay. That number jumps to 90% if we exclude Nova Scotia and Ontario. If you heard prices were falling across Canada, would you imagine 9 out of 10 markets outside of two provinces showed price growth? Probably not, but that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Interprovincial migration. We have a lot of pre-sale condos sitting empty. It's a very slow market for Toronto condos right now for pre-sales. So, they have the largest volume of inventory to affect the averages that they're reporting.
Right.
Nova Scotia, I don't know what's going on over there. Right.
Yeah, I think the point in this, and of course, like what we just talked about, why it's that way. But the point is, the market is not horrendous. We hear about it one way or the other. Oh, it's out of control. Oh no, it's not it's out of control one way. It's out of control the other way. The market is moving along. People still need places to live and are finding a way to purchase homes. This is what we're seeing. People are finding a way to purchase their homes.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think to me, this was just a really good breakdown of look at what's happening, right? Because another one of the lines in here is Canadian real estate prices climbed outside of Ontario and Nova Scotia.
You know what? Even with the sales numbers coming down, last month in May for the Toronto area, there was still 713,000 residential transactions happening.
Right.
Like even though it's come down, there is still movement. There's still activity happening.
Yeah.
It's not the world is ending, the sky is falling, all of that. Okay, great. So we're in part of the cycle that properties are not transacting as much. Yeah, interest rates has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Buyer sentiment has a lot to do with it. Did we just have like a record number of sales happening across the country during COVID, and now everybody's like, if they were thinking about buying, they bought.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're settled into that, right? And they've got lower interest rates. Why would they be motivated to move again? It's not likely to happen. So we're just going back to like the default amount of people that either, they pass away, sell their house, unless the kids take over the house kind of thing, or there's a divorce and eventually that comes around and they sell the house. Like there's different circumstances, or people get job offers somewhere else.
Right.
There's different aspects of life. So, and you know what? A lot of Canadians are sitting on a ton of equity. They're sitting on a ton of equity. So, even with the interest rates being up, they might not be affected if they're purchasing cash, and it might be a really good time for them to purchase in a market right now where most people, maybe based on some of these headlines, that are a little bit fearful of the market.
Yeah, and
I'm having really good experiences with buyers right now where we're able to negotiate really good deals.
Yeah.
So,
Well, one of the statements...
The world is not ending. It's actually a really good opportunity for other people.
And one of the statements here is that taking Toronto and Nova Scotia into the equation skews the national picture of what's really happening. And we've said this from the start, that with such a huge geographical country like Canada,
mm-hmm.
you can't make decisions or statements about what's happening nationally because it's not relevant for each market. Our market is different than Vancouver's market.
I'm glad you said
than
this.
Edmonton's market, than Calgary's market, than Saskatchewan, Saskatoon, Regina, and Winnipeg, and on and on. So there's a difference in what's going on. I was just having a conversation with somebody today, explaining to them that Victoria's market is more stable than Vancouver's. It doesn't go up as high, it doesn't come down as low necessarily, and talking about how our economy is driven by different things than Vancouver's economy.
Certainly.
Right? And for us, we know our economy is driven by the government, IT, and tourism.
Yes.
And we all know the government's not going anywhere.
No.
And IT, we're living, you're watching us because of IT, so we know IT is not going anywhere. And for us, tourism is back cooking.
Yeah, no, it's a vital part of the market, definitely for the entire economy.
Yeah.
Definitely, with all the we get cruise ships, we get like 1,000 or something cruise ships. We have over 1 million people come to Victoria.
Yeah, it's like a small
year.
town every time a cruise ship comes in. It's like a small town being added to your town.
Yeah, I know as a local, don't go downtown if I don't have to.
If you know there's a cruise ship?
If I know there's
Yeah.
a cruise ship, or we haven't had any U.S. Navy ships come in town.
Not for a couple of years.
Not for a long time now. So
That was pretty cool though when whatever that ship was.
cool to
that
see
came.
them, but
yeah.
I avoid downtown when they're here. It's just busier, right?
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah.
So I like
Yeah.
it nice and quiet.
Yeah.
But this is a good example when it comes to like looking at anomalies in the calculation. So if Toronto and Nova Scotia are the anomaly,
Yeah.
it would be, and I like how you say like a specific market, let's say Victoria, we might have a $10 million sale and it skews our average out completely.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if you're tracking average prices, it's not always accurate to what's happening in reality, where the median price might be a little bit more accurate, and then the benchmark price is probably the most realistic price.
Yeah.
So just to, if you want to ask more about that, I can explain that in the comments. But
Yeah.
yeah,
The point of which is, you know, I think it's still, like you said, for buyers, this is a good time to be in the market. If you can make it work with the interest rates and the numbers and everything else, because what we do know is that the market, housing prices are going to start going back up at some point.
At some point, and right now it's like buy when everybody else is scared.
Right.
Right, you get the best opportunity.
Yeah.
It's really fun helping buyers right now.
Yeah.
Like that's how I'm finding it.
Yeah.
You know, as a seller, it's like, okay, what do we have to like compensate, negotiate? What do we have to offer to like get somebody to make that offer to have
Yeah.
a successful sale?
Yeah.
But on the other side, on the buying side, it's been actually quite fun because you can actually work it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for joining us. Just, you know, I just enjoy being able to go through these reports and these articles and be able to really get some context and put some context to some of these, because some of these we've looked at and it was like, no, that's wrong, because that's not what the stats really say. Whereas in this case, we can say that, hey, we're not having, we didn't just have a downturn this month in the national real estate market.
Yeah.
We had a downturn in 2 provinces, one of which is obviously the most populous province, and therefore it has the biggest effect on the national average. So,
but let us know what you think. What's going on in your market area?
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's not Ontario, maybe it's not Nova Scotia, but we'd like to know a little bit more about what's happening out there with whatever your market is.
yeah. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Hope you got some good information out of that. Please take a minute and like and subscribe. It helps us out with getting the word out there. If you know anybody who you think needs to see what we're talking about, please let them know about it.
And of course, if you're thinking of buying or selling real estate in the Greater Victoria area or anywhere on Southern Vancouver Island, you can get a hold of us. Our information is in the description below, and we'd be happy to help you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
See ya.